transition should never be the first step. There are
That's
so
right.
many different avenues
That's right.
to experience and explore. Like, why are we jumping to all of these life-altering options?
No, that's
Like,
a great
it
question.
is a mental health issue, you know? We want to get, I think the biggest concern is we should be teaching kids to be comfortable with themselves.
Great. Hey everybody, I caught another one. Okay, here we go. So I've been actually looking forward to this one. This woman reached out to me and she's super awesome. And when you see what we're going to talk about, I think you're going to be really very important conversation and excited to hear from this person. So, again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who watches my channel, everyone who reaches out to me, everyone who's seeing what we're doing here. And I'm building a community channel is how I look at it. And these can't get made without you all supporting that you're doing that, liking, subscribing. I know it's, I feel so, I'm not the kind of guy who likes to ask for things, by the way, but I do need to ask for the likes and this because it really does help get these spread out to the rest of the world. So with that, thank you everybody. And with that, I have Charlie today. And hi Charlie, thank you.
Hello.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. And thank you so much for reaching out and being so willing to have this conversation with me. So if you could just introduce yourself and then we'll move forward.
Yeah, so I'm a 33-year-old stay-at-home mom. I go by Charlie to friends and family. So as a stay-at-home mother, I get to really devote and observe and see what's going on more personally, I think. You know, it's not
Yeah.
that uh, I have to divide my attention outside the household. So I see the changes in my kids
Mm.
when they're affected by what's going on in the school system.
Oof.
So
Okay. Can you?
it
Oh,
gives me a really close
yeah.
perspective.
No, it's great that you get to be a stay-at-home mom and to be so attentive because I think you're right. When we have people have to work and they can't afford not to go to work and their kids
Right.
are that, so it's you are in on some level. I hate using this word, but privileged space that
Very, very
yeah that
lucky.
you're able to especially what's going on today, and that's. So here, this is why Charlie reached out to me. So,
As a
as
desperate mother.
as a desperate mother. That's right. That was the heading of your email.
Yes.
Oh, now I remember. I just caught my eye. I was like, oh, wow, okay. And I was like, what? So let's get down to the nitty gritty here. So you reached out to me because of what specifically?
A viral video that took place in my child's school.
What video
And
was that?
so she actually was a bystander in the video. And I'm extremely grateful. No personal feature was caught in that video. So it's
Hmm.
very, if I only knew because I know her.
Hmm.
And so
That's
when I
right.
found out about this video, I actually like had a gut instinct like my kid could be in that video. Like I felt like she was. And there she was.
Oh, wow. So specifically, can you tell us what video that was? I think I know,
Right,
but
because there's
yeah,
there's more than one out.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it was the video of I know there's some ambiguity as to what to refer to this kid. Um
Yeah.
so this trans student um
It's okay. We'll get into that. So the
right,
trans student,
the
yeah.
trans student, which I also have information on that as well, not like
Right.
big, but
Yeah.
so the trans student walking up behind a girl, grabbing her backpack, pulling her down to the floor, then grabbing her hair, swinging her left and right, and then slapping her on the head while she's on the floor. And then uh, I think she had said, "Don't touch me, B word." I don't know if you want
Yeah,
to finish
that's all right.
the
That's all right.
conversation.
You can just be free with your language and if I
Okay.
can blurb stuff out. Yeah. Don't
Okay,
worry.
yeah.
Yeah.
So she said, "Don't touch me, bitch,"
Hmm.
and walked away. And you could clearly distinct the physical difference, the voice, the strength,
Who said
all
don't
of it.
touch me, bitch? The trans girl?
Yeah. And then the girl stands up and she's struggling to get up and saying, I didn't do anything, I didn't do anything, and I can't breathe. And then that's where it cuts off.
I remember seeing it, but I didn't. I was so disgusted by it, I actually stopped watching it because I was like, everyone's like standing around taking photos and
Yeah, and
video, and
they're saying that it was premeditated.
wow, really?
Yes,
So,
and they're,
hmm.
go ahead.
No, no, you go ahead. I just, yeah,
There was a statement by the mother. I don't know if you want to get into this now
I do.
or.
Just go, just go. Let's
Okay,
free,
yeah, there was
free.
a statement by the mother I saw on the school page,
Mhm.
where she was asking for people to share it, the video, and spread
The
it.
mother of the trans kid or the mother of the
No, the mother
of
of
the
the victim.
girl?
And so she was, and what kind of world is it that we live in that we have to advocate for such a horrible video to be spread, to be seen? That's her baby in that video being tortured and traumatized, and we have to push it to have that voice for all these parents because it's not being taken seriously. And
That's right.
so she was asking people, everybody share this, spread this. This is what is going on in this school.
Wow. So the reason the mom did that was has this been happening at that school? Like, is,
This school is not a good school. So my kid has been in there since sixth grade, now currently eighth.
okay.
And there's always been fights, always.
Interesting.
And so there's always bullies, there's always videos. I know from hearing it from my kid that when a fight breaks out, the staff's first response is to confiscate phones because they do not want it recorded.
Clearly.
So it's not to de-escalate, it's to snatch phones out of hands and make sure they have their bases covered.
Is this a public school?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Should we
hmm
say what state it's in? Does that matter?
No,
Are you comfortable?
I think the viral video,
What state is it?
it's Oregon.
I'm not going to say anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what's.
Everybody
Everybody knows.
knows.
So, I mean, I'm not laughing at the incident. You know that. I'm laughing at
Oh, I know.
Oregon.
It's it's what's expected at this point, so it's not surprising. The shock
Yeah.
value after so many incidences
Yeah.
kind of flattens. So
So let's get back to this incident. Do we know how the incident started or why it started?
no,
No.
but it also is known that this trans student is aggressive. There's another video with two other girls
What?
in the
Like
same video.
doing the same thing that this trans girl did to the other girl?
Yeah.
Beating them up?
I believe that the first one was, so they were in a gym class, it looks like. They were in a
Oh,
gymnasium.
right.
She pushes one girl down and then turns to another, and they kind of get into each other's faces, and then eventually the trans student knocks this girl down and starts hitting her. And then you can see someone in the background, a friend, I'm assuming, of the trans student, come in and kick the girl while she's down. And then in the background, you can hear a staff voice saying, "That's enough." And then it cuts.
So here's what I'm going to say. When I was in school, I fought. I was a fighter. I was that little kid who just didn't, I was a fighter because, I had a lot of shit going on. But that being said, I just remember you would get pushed apart. You would get sent to the principal. You would get sent
Oh,
to a
yeah.
counselor. I got, what do you call it? I got timeout or whatever that's called, where I got, not expelled, but,
Detention.
detention, or I mean, I got so many things for fighting.
Detention.
Fighting was not okay, and it's not. And
No.
fast forward today, and that was in the '60s.
Well, let
Fast
me
forward
ask
to,
you this question
yeah,
though.
yeah,
In your school history, have you
yeah.
ever seen a male hit a female?
So it was the other way around, right? Because I was a female. Guess who I
Right.
fought? Males. I beat the crap out of them. I totally.
No
But
boy has ever attacked a girl.
never, ever. And that, it was a different situation because I was a girl and I got hit by a guy. Actually, no, I did get hit by the guy. And then I beat him up and then they never touched me again. Which is kind of funny and awesome. But this is not funny and awesome because it's a
Right.
different situation. This is why I keep biology is important. Boys are stronger than girls. Period. Stop it. There's going to be that one girl or that one boy who's off, but we're talking about a regular situation here. The
Right.
majority of boys, and now I did see that video. That trans girl wailed on that girl, and nobody did anything.
No. They just recorded.
They just recorded it. And so also I had seen that this trans girl has a history of violent behavior and is still in that school.
Uh, I believe that neither of the two involved have been to the come back to school since the incident that was recorded.
Have they been expelled or are they just
They're
um
not they're not
not
saying because
saying?
they're minors.
Oh
But
right.
the fact that there's multiple videos and that I do believe that it took this girl's parents
Yeah.
intervening
Yeah.
to do anything,
I agree with you because
that
now
anything is
everything's
being done at this point.
well, because trans rights are human rights. Nobody else has
Right.
rights. Only trans people seem to have rights now. You can do anything you want as a trans person because trans rights are human rights. It's unbelievable. We're teaching such bad behavior, not only to kids, but to trans people. That is
Right.
bad behavior. I don't care if you're a trans girl. You don't get to go and beat up. Act like a girl then. What are you doing? Like, so it makes me very upset. That's why I'm so happy to have you on. So let's talk a little bit about your daughter. She
All
witnessed
right.
this. She witnessed
Uh,
this.
she didn't witness the incident.
Okay.
So in the video, it's her not saying, she's in the back of the video
Okay.
walking away from the situation.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
when I picked her up that day from school, because it was actually picture day, that's how I noticed, because
Mm.
the picture day outfit and everything.
Yeah.
And so when I picked her up and she got in my car, she was like, there was a big fight today. And I was like, oh, like what happened? And, she was like, oh, I don't know, I didn't see.
Huh.
But she did know who was involved. And, that also sticks out. Like, these kids aren't seeing this as a big deal. It's become so normal not only to fight, but also to not have that boundary between male and female.
That's
At,
right.
a pretty crucial time when there's lots of hormones, lots of differences, lots of acknowledgments that need to be addressed. And,
Yes.
you have to look at reality for a lot of things.
That's right.
There
That's
are
right.
there are things that, you can that are flexible for sure. But
Yeah.
some things need to be seen as reality. Like there are things that cannot be changed as much as we can be flexible with them.
Yeah. Great statement. And especially with these kids in this age, and
Hmm.
we're blurring lines that should never be
Yes.
blurred.
Boundaries.
Boundaries, lines. Girls deal with things different than boys. I don't care what
Yes.
anybody. You can say crap to me till you're blue in the face. I'm a biological female. I grew
You
up as a
know.
girl. I know
You have
exactly.
experience of both.
That's right. And for people to act as if I don't, I have actual real lived experience. I like literally lived half my life as a dude and half my life as a woman and I'm 61 now. Literally, I transitioned at 30. So 30 years I lived as a woman, now 30 years I lived as a man.
But
You
those
know,
are also crucial development periods,
we are
right?
doing some weird stuff with kids. Not only that, just not addressing this trans stuff at school. And as far as I'm concerned, they're giving this trans girl this sort of higher status, if that makes sense to me. Like it's
Hmm.
more special for the trans girl than the
Well, they're
bio girl.
completely denying that the trans is not part of the equation, which,
Mm,
violence is definitely a matter of its own. But the reason that this needs to be acknowledged as that the trans is part of the equation is because it is the boundaries being crossed right there. That is the evidence. We are
That's right.
seeing that males coming into the female spaces and that we are not distincting
Yep.
reality for these kids.
Yep.
This is what's happening. This is the consequence of that.
Wow, it's a powerful statement, and it's something that needs to be heard. And I'm going to just keep telling you that I appreciate you stepping up and having this conversation. Many parents will actually love what you're saying because they want to say it. But I think a
Right.
lot of they do. They want to say this, but they don't want to be transphobic. They don't want to be anti, which I appreciate on some level,
Oh, for
but
sure. I mean,
100%. But it's not transphobic. You're not being
right.
transphobic. You're not. You're
It
actually
is. This
talking
is
to a
not
trans guy. Yeah.
right. When it's such a difficult line, and most of the people who are accusing the transphobia are not trans.
I know.
They're they're not even part of the community. It is people who are just, I don't want to be offensive. You're being offensive, and you shouldn't be. And that's where the
That's
line
right.
is drawn. And it's like it's not even about that. It's about the
No,
kids.
it's
It is
about the
about the
kids.
children.
That's right. You're right. We have these allies that are just misguided and they're thinking they're
Right.
doing the right thing, and like, oh, they're the ones who are more doing the damage than actual trans people because they're spreading
Right.
these insane lies that trans women are women and that trans rate of suicide is it's all completely insane. And so you're right. We have to get locked into these kids who are being misguided, not only in the trans space, but in this whole space of what's a girl, what's a boy, right? They're blurring the lines of biology and gender and
Well,
sex
they
and
are.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
and they're absolutely giving these children the platform to choose. And,
that's right.
to me, I honestly feel that it is a promotion and encouragement of mental illness, like to confuse them further when it needs to be authentic. It
That's
needs to
right.
be natural, and it needs to be, they need to figure out these things on their own, not with influence of people that aren't in their families. These teachers, these staffs, the political partners, whoever, they do not raise these kids.
That's
They're
right.
not part of their personal lives. Like, what gives them the right to step in and advocate and affirm,
Mhm.
such ideologies that can be so harmful and have lasting effects?
Great question. What gives them the right? What is this
Right.
new idea that the school knows better for your child than you as a parent? What is
Well,
this?
what I hear, the feedback that I hear when I have this discussion, because it's not
Yeah.
popular, is Title VI.
Right. Discrimination. So basically, it's discrimination. You can't discriminate against anybody.
Right.
So
Including gender, sexuality.
that actually is a huge like hole, if you ask me,
Mm.
because there's no specific definition of what discrimination,
No.
right? I mean,
When the school started this year, we did get an email covering, we are going to be having open locker rooms, we are going to be sharing bathrooms, we are going to enact this law. So whatever your kid identifies as, they have access.
is this a middle school?
Yes.
Holy moly, my kid is in middle school. I would freak if they had that. These
They
kids are
do.
going through puberty. These kids are going through
Yeah.
the next growth stage of themselves, right? And us as parents, we're honed in on that. We're seeing that. So these people who aren't even parents, who are activists and allies, they're the ones who are sort of trying to speak for these kids when they don't even have kids or they're not even in this experience.
Right. Well, and they do have one gender neutral stall in each male and female bathroom,
Okay.
that has a lock on it. And I know that the kids are using it freely.
And
I've
you don't
heard,
think kids are doing things with a locked door?
no, I've heard that my kid has told me that numerous times that multiple people have piled out of the bathroom or the door has been open and they see there's people sitting on each other's laps making out, like,
Totally. Totally. I would have
you
done
know,
that.
these kids don't have boundaries, you know, they don't have an understanding of
Great point.
or you know, the will and responsibility and honestly the maturity. You know, you can't put like a
No.
face value to like word of mouth, like the honor system, you know, you can't
Yeah.
just be like, I trust you guys to follow these rules when I'm not looking.
Yeah, that'll work.
Right,
I'm telling you, I was that kid who would have used that stall and done all kinds of stuff in
right.
there. So I know exact. I'm like, wow, we got a locked stall and we got a free for all because there's discrimination. I mean, come on, you're handing these kids like such easy. They need
Access.
boundaries. Kids need boundaries. They need rules. They need regulations. They need to be
They
told
thrive
yes and
so
no.
much better. A
That's
hundred
right.
percent. I know that
That's right.
whenever I am strict with my kids, whenever I am, whether it's punishment or encouragement, they
Mm,
thrive so much
that's right.
better through it.
Exactly.
They want to have structure.
They do.
It makes
100% they do.
all of the difference.
I totally thank you for saying all of these things. The parents are going to just love you. This is what we need to hear. I'm not kidding. You know, stop telling us, first off, how to parent. Secondly, no school should ever, I don't care what you're telling me, they do not get the right to tell my child things that I don't know. Wait, then they're doing this like you
That
can
they don't
transition at
know.
school and no one will know. I'm like, what? It's
And they don't know. They're not educated. They're not trained professionals to
that's
deliver
right.
this information.
Also, don't you think you're telling a kid very bad behavior? You're telling them you can lie to your parents and we'll keep the secret for you.
Happens at my school.
So they have that. So you can transition at the school without the parent knowing
Well, they
or
have the only
the
thing that
pronoun,
I've been subject to is the pronouns,
which
where
is still lying.
it is. And I know that there are multiple kids. You know, I've picked my kid up from school and you
Mm,
know, there are all walks of, you know, life kids
sure.
there, which is neither here nor there. Like this is a transitional period for all kids.
That's right.
You know, they're all
Yeah.
going to be different. They're all going to
Yeah.
be their own.
Yeah.
Um, whether their parents know or not, I'm not sure.
Wow. That is just,
And
well,
so I know
that's
that
wild.
there was a situation with the school where I did have to be talking to a lot of different staff members, counselors, and teachers over an issue with a class that my kid had. Nothing serious that pertains to this conversation, but there was
Sure.
just an issue where I had to interject myself into it
Mm,
to find a solution. And
mm,
so through talking to the counselor, you know, she recommended me to a social worker. And,
mm,
you know, I was like, okay, I'm okay with that. I will
mm.
talk to them and see what's going on, what can they can do. And, um, you know, when he called me and immediately it was, so I see your student needs help from me. Like, let's get the ball going. And what do they like to drink? What do they like to eat? Is there a game they like to play? I really like to be inviting in my office, and I want to get a good rapport going.
Mm.
Um, and I just kept thinking, like, this is groomer behavior. Like, why do you want to know my kid's favorite things, the favorite snacks and foods? Like, why do you want to know if she likes boba tea? Like, you're not there to be friends. And then, you
Wow.
know, he was like, I really want to get them set up with window shopping accounts or a therapist. So I want them to sit with me and we'll kind of look and see what's there and available. And if they like something, we'll try them out. And I'm like, what makes you think I want you to select a therapist or let my child select one in your care without me present?
What?
Like, what is the agenda behind this movement? Like, you're only interested in my kid because she was finding herself under the LGBTQ umbrella at the time. Like, is this
Mm.
the only interest? Because this doesn't have anything to do with the reason we're talking.
No, that's not where you're going. You're going to find out what's
Right.
the underlying things that are happening that are creating her thinking. So she got sucked into the LGBT sort of movement at the
Oh,
school.
oh yeah.
Oh,
From sixth
wow.
grade, after I think it was about a month in,
And sixth grade?
and right
Uh,
after COVID,
it makes my heart hurt. I have a sixth grader. There's no way he would even understand what that
she
is.
didn't. She didn't understand. She came to me.
No.
Uh, she texted me.
What did she say?
We were in the same house, and she texted me. Uh, I'm trans. I want to let you know. And I said,
Wow.
okay, let's talk about this. And of course, she was like, I'd rather not. And I'm like, no, we're doing this now. Let's talk.
Yeah.
And, it was a quick discussion. It was, do you know what trans is? No. And I'm like, okay, this is what it is. And I explain it to her. And she's like, oh, well, it's not that. And I'm like, okay. So why don't you explain to me what you're feeling? And then I'll help you know what it is. And so, through further explanation, it was, okay, that sounds like gender fluidity. You're not comfortable with either, both, like you want to be somewhere in between. That's fine. And she was like, I want to be they, them. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. I will respect you and I'll meet you halfway. I'll use your name.
Excellent. Excellent.
So, I don't think there is a problem with pronouns, but I also think like I actually have a description. I wrote a description about my opinions on it. So
Okay, great.
whether or not you want to hear that or
I
not,
do.
it's
I do.
okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
all
because I
right,
think you handled it really great, by the way. And I find this
thank
really
you.
fascinating. So thanks for saying that because your kid comes home, I'm trans. You immediately sat her down, which is so brilliant. And then you immediately questioned her on what's trans?
Oh,
Because
of
that's
course.
so brilliant of you.
That's a
Well,
very bold statement to make.
yeah, but not a lot of people, especially parents, they feel so scared or whatever. Oh, you're
Yeah.
trans. We'll just be okay with that. But that is such a brilliant thing. You're like, what is trans? And then she couldn't even tell you what trans was. And you're like, no, that's
No.
not trans. And then she's like, well, I don't feel so I think it's fascinating how did she when she was at the school and that was it an LGBT club or something?
They have a promotion for an LGBT club after school.
At sixth
Uh,
grade?
yes, in middle school.
What?
Mm,
Why?
I am not sure.
I mean,
Um,
what?
which there was expression of I want to join that group, and I was like, nah, sorry,
It's
we're not doing
weird.
that.
As all of the I'm like I just don't understand why we're having that for sixth graders. That just doesn't make any. It sounds indoctrination to me. It just does, and I don't care what anybody says.
There's
It
so
just
much
does.
indoctrination.
It's that's the last thing kids need to be worrying about. Now you gave a
No,
child see what oh it makes me so mad. Now you gave a child something else to worry about. Who they are, what they are. They don't need to worry about that shit till later on in life. Like right now at 11, she's just stressing out if she's trans and are non now. So you're smart. You put her name instead of the pronouns, brilliant. And then you're
hmm
like, okay, well let's just kind of so I'm sorry. So go now and tell me what you were gonna
okay.
yeah.
So sorry, I have it written down. It's a
No,
little
it's okay.
lengthy.
It's excellent.
So I just feel adolescents have been finding new rebellious and provocative ways to express themselves across all of history of time. The problem with the newest popular expression trends being associated with the trans LGBTQ plus community is not that entails gender identity and orientation bending, it's that it being affirmed by the professional and governmental authorities as reality instead of youth trends. If boys just wanted to be call themselves girls and vice versa, it may not be such a catastrophe. The problem is that our teachers and doctors and political leaders are affirming it is so forcefully um,
Mm,
oh,
great.
affirming it so forcefully by building laws, changing policies, and boycotting anyone that opposes the ideology.
Mm,
This causes it to go from trends for kids to fixed or permanent lifestyles that in many cases are very psychologically and physically dangerous in their futures. The fact that it is being enforced by authorities is why the movement has been effective in letting the
Mm.
natural boundaries, lifting the natural boundaries between male and female. And this fight only a small piece of evidence that illuminates the consequences of that.
Wow, that was awesome. You should publish that somewhere. Seriously, because you said everything. You said everything that needs to be said. You're right on. Why are we targeting young kids with this? Why are we confusing them?
Unnecessarily. I mean, we should be focused on their education. I think if we take politics out of the schools, religious, woke,
Yep.
fucking the
Yep.
ideologies, all of that, it
Yep.
needs to be removed. They're not there to be parents or provide insight on what they believe
That's right.
what their future should be.
Yeah.
That's what the parents do. That's our job.
It's always been our job.
Always.
School is a space for them to go and learn everything you just said: math, science, music,
Curriculum,
whatever.
education.
how to how to walk the world and socialize, because that's also why school is great. It's socialization, right?
Yes.
And then you get to see these kinds of things, and you also get to start to experience being in life with the other gender. And then there's so
Mhm.
many great things about school. The last thing kids at this level need to be stressing out on is who am I? Who am
Well,
I?
because it's not fixed. It's not permanent. It
Brilliant.
never is.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Even as adults, that's the
That's
point
right.
of becoming an adult and making adult choices, is
Yeah.
you have more knowledge to make your choices. You have more life experience.
That's right.
It's
That's what I
crucial.
fight. It's like, my God, people are. I have 30 years of experience as a trans person, yet they call me transphobic. I'm anti-trans. I don't want kids to transition. You're hurting the community. I'm like, wow, seriously? The last thing I would ever do is hurt. Like, I'm concerned. These kids are not trans. Your
You
kid is
should
not
be.
trans. I'm pretty sure of it.
Everyone should be concerned.
It's really
It's not something
pathetic.
you know until you're an adult.
You don't know
I
shit
honestly
until
believe
you're an
that.
adult. I still don't know a lot. I'm
Same.
60. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know that. I'm like,
Well, and it's also too, transition should never be the first step. There are
that's
so
right.
many different avenues
That's right.
to experience and explore. Like, why are we jumping to all of these life altering options?
No, that's
Like,
a great
it
question.
is a mental health issue, we want to I think the biggest concern is we should be teaching kids to be comfortable with themselves
Great.
before
Great.
anything else.
Great.
And that's the staple of your
But
fucking
we're
life.
not. But we're not.
Right. That's what all kids need because everyone is going to be insecure. Everyone's going
That's
to be
right.
uncomfortable.
That's
Like,
right.
and you probably know too. I've watched a lot of your videos. Like,
Yeah.
getting comfortable with yourself is such a powerful thing.
It's
And
everything.
if we can't do that authentically and naturally, or, find
Hmm. Hmm.
a path there, then that's when you should look further.
Well, God, you're really great. I love your brain. It's so great.
Oh,
It's
thank
no, I'm not
you.
kidding. It really is. And because you're saying things that are actually really just normal things you're saying, but
I feel that these are like commonsensical things. Like, I don't know why I have to advocate and fight for such like obvious things.
because they're trying to gaslight us, you know that, and they're trying to make
Oh
us seem
yeah,
like what we're thinking is so bad. They're brilliant at their marketing. They're brilliant at
it's
trying to,
true.
it's true. They did a good job, and they have made us all twisted. Like, oh, maybe these kids are trans, and we shouldn't do those kind of things, and we should give them medication and tell them to cut their breasts off at 14, and the insanity of it all. And everyone's just standing by like trans rights are human rights. I'm like, okay, what about detransitioners, right? We have tons of these young girls who are now suffering and pissed off because someone told them they were trans, and someone just gave them this totally false idea of identity when you just said it. You're forever evolving.
When I was in school, I had body dysmorphia where I hated myself.
Sure.
I could not look in the mirror when I did my makeup. I would turn
Mm,
the lights off and just do the bare minimum of like visual, like I hated looking at myself. I hated
mm,
my body. I hated everything about
yeah.
myself. I feel 100% if I was a student right now, I would not have the opportunity to be a mother. I would not have any body part. I
Wow.
would be a huge victim because I was vulnerable.
Wow, that's really the thought of that. You know, you could have been one of those kids.
Oh yeah, I was the prime suspect. I would be the perfect victim.
Oh my
And
God.
my favorite thing about my life is that I am a mother right now. Like my kids are everything to me.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful.
I'm an expert in my kids specifically.
That's
That's
right.
why I know there's issues.
That's right. You're awesome. I'm telling you, so many parents are gonna just love you because they need this. They actually need this. You're gonna help them. They're gonna now go, why am I not saying anything? Why am I just sitting around? Though there are more and more parents, you know that, stepping up.
Oh
There are.
yeah.
There's
And I don't
parental
know why
groups.
they're so hard to find.
Well, I think with this interview, we're going to put some links to some really good parental groups that I've been introduced to who are, you guys have to get together because the stronger you are as a unit, the stronger the message gets across. Leave the kids alone. Leave them
Right.
alone. Stop it. Get back to regular school system. None of this stuff should ever be. Of course, kids are dealing with mental health issues, comorbidities. I mean, it's higher than ever. That doesn't make them trans. They're not
No.
looking at the actual problems here. They're equating these problems to trans and giving these kids a false sense of security and a false sense of, and they all want to join in. They all want to be trans because they do think it's the end all be all, and they do think it'll change their life for better.
Every person, I think 14 out of the 15 uh, friends out of my kids' group is all identifies.
Holy
That's a
crap!
big number, That's a lot of
Holy
kids.
crap! That many kids
Yep,
are
all throughout the
ident.
umbrella.
You see, this is the problem that I have addressed here, and this is why I need for people to hear what I'm about to say. I have a mental disorder called gender dysphoria, whatever you want to call it, dysphoria, body. I don't care. It's not body, it's gender mental. It's a mental disorder in my brain. So, that being said, this is something that you have to go through a lot of intensive mental health care in order to move forward and understand what you're doing. Not only that, this is not my identity. My identity is male. I have an issue where I needed to look like a man and walk the world like a man. I am not trans. I don't walk the world as a trans. These new generation of people, and this is where you're going to see, I'm telling you, they are taking on an identity of trans. They want to be trans. People like myself don't want to be trans. First off, we are trans. We get a diagnosis, and it's a medical space to look right so that we become men and women. So, this is where I'm trying to show you the difference. It's become an indoctrination of identity. These kids feel like they're part of a group of trans, and they're
Well,
not
I
even being
think they're,
diagnosed.
oh, and I think they're confusing expression
There you go.
with the labels.
There you
They
go.
want to be more feminine, they want to be more
That's right.
masculine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
We can normalize that, but we shouldn't normalize surgeries on kids, We can't
Even on
be
adults.
right.
Surgery should always, medication and surgery should be, when you get, let's say, God forbid, diagnosed with cancer, most people get a second and third opinion, by the way.
Of course.
But they're not doing that with this situation. Oh, one doctor
No.
says you're trans, bam. And then no one's even going, wait a minute here, dude. I want to go to another couple doctors and have a couple different evaluations for my
Well,
child.
the affirmation is insane. It's the
Wow.
first and only step for so many people, adults, children, like, why are, a, having a disorder is not a death sentence. It's not a crime. It's not
Nope.
a bad
Nope.
thing.
It's
It
not a bad thing.
happens. The spectrum is vast. Everybody probably has something. It's not
That's right.
something to be looked at or, something that you should, go out of your way to want. And we shouldn't be encouraging these kids that it's
No.
okay.
But do you see what they did? They manipulated the space because I accept my disorder. And to be honest with you, it was important that I got that diagnosis so I could understand what was wrong with me. And then when I
Right.
understood what was wrong with me, I said, oh, I can actually fix this by changing my appearance and feeling so much better. But these kids are not they're not getting they're not even getting a diagnosis. Now they're all saying you don't need gender dysphoria to be trans. You don't
Well,
need to have
self-identify.
you can self-identify as whatever they're identifying all kinds of crazy stuff at these schools. These kids are
They are.
and
And
encouraging it.
I know for uh through my kid's experience, like I know that kid definitely identified that way,
Right,
you know?
right.
So I know that they pre the preferred name and nouns and everything, like
Wow.
it can be a really serious thing, but
Yeah,
it's not the only thing, you
but
know?
that's the problem. They're making it the only thing. So,
It
so I want
is.
to get back to this trans girl at the school. So, do you know the history of that? Like, did that kid? So that is a biological boy, and so was that kid at school as a biological boy before they transitioned? Do you know?
I don't have that history, but I
Okay.
know that this year it was strictly girl.
So they came probably back to school. And so I guess my next question is, did they have a sort of school meeting for the whole school to say, Sammy's coming back this year as Susie? Did they ever?
No.
Wow, that's actually bad
The
because now
school's first response to this viral video was 8 days after it happened.
this school needs to be reported, by the way, and I'll get that information from you offline.
It does.
Nuh-uh. That stuff can't happen. They're hiding something.
Well, they're
Never.
blaming it on social media, which I find really funny
What?
because last year I went to a meeting, which was a very small meeting. It was all about fundraising and
Uh,
like I was the only parent there. It was all otherwise just like staff
wow.
members or
Interesting.
like board groups or
Mhm,
whatever.
mhm.
And so I wanted to discuss about the devices that they have at their school.
Mhm.
So I noticed that the kids have full access on these devices to the internet, and they can connect with each other through this device.
Oh.
And so I thought, what the heck? This is inappropriate. So I went to this meeting to address it, and I said, I'm noticing, you know, inappropriate behavior through this device.
Mm,
What are the restrictions available to put on here? What are
mm,
you guys doing?
mm.
And the response was, well, we walk behind the kids, and if we see something, we do something.
You've
And
got
I'm
to be kidding.
like, that's not enough. These kids have full access to everything. And they're like, well, the only other option is we can take your child's device away if that's what you want. And I'm like, okay, so like make it harder for them to complete assignments is what you're telling me. Like I have to choose between the two?
No, they're making it seem like you're the problem.
Of course.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
And I'm
you.
like, I can only monitor at home. Who's monitoring at school?
I can't even believe
Nobody.
that. My kid has a computer and they have it all locked down. He can only do these certain
Good.
school things, Schoology or
That's how it
whatever.
should be.
Of course, you don't think me and my partner were all over that, looking
Oh,
like
I
how
know.
and also
That's
his.
you
So
have
we're
to.
we're really good friends with his dad, who's we're all family together, and he's a
Hmm.
hardcore computer programmer. So we're all
Perfect.
over that stuff. But that being said, what about parents who don't really understand this, right? Like even you do. You understand how, and that there was no other parents.
No. Well, and it
That is
wasn't
shocking.
specifically for that matter. That's just the only shoe in that I could find to talk to somebody about it. Because I'm like, hey, I don't want my kid having this issue. And
And also,
I don't know how to.
you can't just take it away from the kid because then they're going to be left out from everybody else, and
Right.
that's also not a healthy. What a wing nutty school that is.
Yes, it is. It is.
How
And so I find it
horrible!
funny that they're saying that social media is the only or biggest culprit when
It's not
they
true.
have no management of their own student body. The school does not monitor their devices. They have access to internet, each other. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if these kids were texting each other through the tablets.
Oh,
You know,
they
they say
totally
that
are.
it's a no school or no phone school zone, but d dude, look at all the recorded videos. Like zero
And
tolerance for violence and no phones. Like they're obviously not being honest and just trying to find a scapegoat
they are.
to be out of the hot seat.
They totally are.
And
It's so
these kids
obvious.
are the victims of all of it.
Wow.
It's insane.
It's actually insane. I mean, I can't even believe we're having this conversation and everyone's just like, la, la, la. I live in LA. Same thing with the school system here. It's insane what they're, when my kid started middle school, when I marched right in there, just like you. I marched right in there. I looked for the flags. I looked for everything. I'm like, who
They're
are the teachers?
everywhere.
No, not one. I couldn't believe it because
Really?
I was all heated up, and I was all ready to be like, I don't want to see any of those flags. I don't want, you can't talk about pronouns. I was all ready to get all over that. Nope. It was, I couldn't even believe it because the school he came from had it. And I was over it. Like pronoun. You're not going to ask my kid his pronouns. Do not do that. Do not put him in that space.
Well, it's confusing. You know, it's happening in
It's
grade
weird.
school. In my
I mean,
little school, I
yeah,
had to
let's.
have a conversation with the principal about
Oh
sex
God.
education class
Uh,
at third grade,
nope, nope,
where they were
nope.
introducing the book's title was I'm Jackie, not Jack, or something. It was about a trans child.
Oh my God, that's indoctrination.
And when I said I thought it was inappropriate to be introducing these topics,
Yeah,
the principal's argument was, well, they're getting it from other places, so that's why we have to educate them. And I said, listen, I lock
what?
all of my kids' tablets. There's restrictions. My kid is not getting that information,
That's right.
and I don't want you giving it to them either.
That's
Like,
right. Wow, what a statement that guy made. Wow, that is sick. They aren't necessarily getting it. My kid isn't because he doesn't have access to any of that. And you know what I do and where I've been and my work and my background and all that. He's not allowed to even come near my office, right? Or see, he doesn't see
and then why are
anything.
we like pushing it down the kids' throat of like,
There's an agenda. Are you
there
kidding me?
is.
There is
It's
an
not.
actual, yeah,
When you're pushing acceptance to this extreme, there is a bias and it's
that's right.
going to cause
That,
divide. It's like
ooh,
so counteractive. It's like
it's so insane. It's insane.
you're not
No,
invoking community.
you're not. You're pissing people off. I've been doing this for a long time. Let me tell you, a lot of the stuff I've been doing, especially talking about sex, that is an adult space. Now, that being said, I do think high
100%.
school, we should be teaching sex ed. There's no
Oh,
doubt about it.
definitely.
And I actually think in middle school, we should start teaching about bodies, right? Because there's a way to do it
Hmm.
without making it all sexual and Tommy is Susie and blowjobs are blah. And I'm like, what? You're teaching kids sixth grade is kids, even eighth grade is kids. I don't care what you're telling me.
Yes.
Now, they might be having sex on some level because I do think some kids are experimenting. Let's not be
Oh, for
stupid
sure.
here. They are. But to introduce certain things is not appropriate, especially if parents aren't comfortable with it. Some parents have religious beliefs or certain ways they want to teach their kid or when they want to teach. That is up to the parent. It's up to me to teach my kid those next
It should
steps.
be. And
That's right.
the boundary is literally just
Gone. There isn't
decayed.
any. Guess what that opens up? That opens up a way for weirdos to get into that. What you said earlier, that sounds like grooming. That's the
Well,
classic.
they have the flag for I don't know if you can say it on here.
Yeah, just say it. I'm going to blurp a lot of this out. I mean,
Pedophiles.
that's right.
Minor attracted people. Why are we
Minor
calling
attracted
them
people.
a
Blech.
label that's why are we trying to deem them appropriate in any way
Why?
and give them a platform of advocacy is
I want to
beyond
know.
me.
It's beyond. I can't even begin to answer that question. And it is so obvious when you put maps now in with LGBTQ. Do you know that they're adding it into my space? I fought to
Wow.
get those weirdos out in this in like 30 years ago, they were called NAMBLA, National Association of Man Boy Love. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We pushed away from getting, now they're bringing these weirdo people. I'm telling you, something weird is going on with the LGBTQIAPP poo poo plus whatever the fuck else they're going to add to that. It's not the same community. They have an agenda to
Well, that's
do
why I
something.
say, like, when you introduce pronouns and self-identification, those are not underneath the
They're
LGBTQ plus umbrella. They just aren't.
they
It
just
is an
aren't.
expression. It's an expression for yourself.
That's
It's
right.
a
That's
very
right.
conceited and like
That's right.
entitled opinion to just thrust on everybody. Like that's not the way the world functions, you know?
No.
And I've told my kid this too, like if you want to be a person that respects that, that's perfectly fine and you
Right.
can, but you have to understand and realize that and accept when others do not want to be involved.
That's right. Good for you. That respect. If you want respect, you have to give respect. It's real simple, people.
Exactly.
It's like you can't just expect everybody to lay over for you and no one's gonna like say it. What? So that's a great way to put it to your kiddo. Like, okay, maybe people will respect your they them pronouns, but are you gonna respect that someone doesn't want to be called cisgender? No, they
Right.
continue to call people cisgender, even when people say stop calling me that. I'm not okay with it. So there's this weird kind of indoctrination of thought process for these trans kids or these non-binary that you're number one. It's a narcissistic, um, I think, sort of agenda on some teaching these kids how to be very self-centered, right? It's all about
Very
me.
so much entitlement.
Yep. Yep.
It's insane because then again, another line is blurred where reality.
There you go.
You have to have reality to make anything make sense.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
not just, you can't warp it. It has to be a foundation
That's right. Yep.
that you can work with and work around if you need to or if you want to, but
That's right.
it has to be a staple in everybody's life
Well,
so that we can be cohesive.
also, I use this analogy that you cannot build your house on a false foundation. It will crash.
Hmm.
And your foundation being everything we're talking about with kids, teaching them reality based. You cannot change your sex. They're teaching kids that you
No,
can change your sex. Little Tommy can become little Susie. No, he can't. He can look like little Susie. He can walk
and
around like
that's
little Susie.
fine.
That's fine. Of
But
course
you
it is.
also have to have the element of reality. There are so
That's
many
right.
factors and so many reasons why it is
That's right.
crucial for your life to be a member of society.
That's right.
We
Thank
we
you.
can't have these walls breaking down and, you know, we can't function together if everyone is separating themselves.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
exactly what's happening and what we're seeing. People can't, you know, address anybody without
Nope.
being having backlash of, I didn't know that you referred to yourself as, shit.
Zem.
Oh, are you diarrhea today? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just so absurd. Like,
It totally is. I mean, are we really having this conversation?
we are.
It's Saturday Night
It's
Live.
crazy. And a lot of them are adults.
I
They're
know.
teaching these kids that you can be just like me when you're grown. And so many people are falling into it. And
I
it's
know.
like,
Oh
it's
fuck.
so insane. How do you thrive in your life when you
Yeah.
expect everybody to
Yeah.
just cater to you?
Yeah.
That's not how the world works.
But they're being taught that. Here I
It's
am,
true.
old trans guy, like, hey, wait a minute, kid. I said, like, you're old. Shut up. The ageism is insane. They're like,
That's
you're
what
old.
we need. We need guidance.
Oh, but they don't
We
want to
need to
hear
get
that.
through it.
No, they don't want to hear that. They think they know better, and it's different now. It's different than when I did it, and it's different. No, no, it isn't. It's exactly the
It's
same.
not
It's
different.
exactly the same. There's nothing.
You're putting a different dress on the same pig.
That's
Like,
right. Thank you. That's right. But the fact that everything you're saying is so powerful, and because it's true, these kids need save. We need to save them. We are. It's up to us as a fucking
it
reality based
is.
adults to say, hey, wait the heck minute. None of this is transphobic. That's why I stand
No,
in this space, friend. You know that, and it's not an easy space. I get nailed by
no,
all
it's not.
sides. All
I'm
sides.
sure you do. I'm
It's
sure,
horrible.
and I know I've definitely not to the same extent I could not fathom that. But just me personally, I know that so many people ask me, like, I'm so surprised that this is your stance. Like, I don't understand
Wow.
because you seem like, you're such an open person. You're such a neutral person. Like, you are so accepting in all of these other aspects. Like, why?
Yeah.
And it's like, because I have common sense.
Because
That's
I,
why. I
but
might not have like a high education, but I have common sense, and that has served me very well in my life.
that's right. Education doesn't mean anything. By the way, I didn't graduate high school. I'm a high school dropout. So I don't care what
Really?
anybody's. Yep, high school dropout. Never have any formal education.
I
None of
have a
it.
bad education. I
At
barely graduated. It was all in sped
least you
classes.
graduated. I did. I didn't. But that's why I don't believe that stuff. Like academics, it's great and you can do things, but it's not the end all be all. I proved it.
No,
I
I
became
don't think
something.
so.
Yeah, I created my own businesses. I did all kinds of stuff without that formal
You're
education. So
extremely successful.
thank you, friend. Yeah, and I really do talk. That's what I talk about. I'm not saying don't go to school. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that I didn't get the opportunity for many reasons.
Right.
Doesn't mean that,
I
you're
mean,
a
and there's
bad
a lot of
person.
people that haven't, and I know that that has
Yes.
definitely
Yes.
come against me in these discussions because,
That's
you
right.
know, I'm not a political person. I don't
Hmm.
have the knowledge or degrees or of any
Yep.
sort. Like, but
Yep.
what I do have is to my biggest advantage is that I can understand reality
That's right.
and that I have the common sense to put all the pieces together and realize this is wrong.
That's right.
This is
That's right.
harmful for the youth of this generation. And even, it's even infecting a lot of adults. Like you
Oh
said,
yeah.
like
Oh yeah. It's crazy.
it's
I can't believe adults got so you just made that point with your friends going, I can't believe you have that opinion.
Mhm.
They've been indoctrinated. They
Oh
aren't
yeah.
listening because they're not listening to all sides. They're only listening to a
No.
very like one. I don't understand people anymore. Who does that? Why do you only listen to one news station? Why aren't you listening to every single news station? You're gonna see it more
That
in
is
a
exactly what I did when all of this stuff started
yep,
exploding. I
yep,
went around and, I got multiple different opinions.
great, great.
And, I settled it on my own, what I think is going on, what I think is
Yep,
right, what I think is dangerous, all of it. Like,
yep.
and, people are obviously going to do that. They're going to fit wherever they think
Yeah.
aligns with their beliefs. But,
Sure, of course.
it's no longer about belief as much as it is safety. Like, I'm sure that so many people can come together and have
Yeah.
differing opinions on the matter
Hmm.
and still realize, like, these kids, their safety should be first.
Number one, what is
It
going
should be
on?
number one.
What
And
is going
that
on?
involves mental health and physical health.
That's
Like, all of
right.
those are their safety, and that's what's crumbling right now.
Well, it's scary because there's adults leading this. It's not kids leading
So
this. They're
many adults.
adults are leading this. Adults are actually saying this stuff needs to be in schools. Adults are saying kids need to see this stuff in third grade. Adults are part of this transitioning children. Doctors,
Well, they're the ones giving the medication and
yeah. That's the part that's more concerning to me, that we have our medical association captured in lies and deceit. And I'm telling you, they're lying. But people will say to me, well, Buck, doctors are, I'm like, so what? Doctors are corrupt. Surgeons are corrupt. We have big pharma is super corrupt. You remember Oxycontin? What is wrong with
there's
you
an
people?
agenda.
It's an agenda. There's so much money to be made.
And
Oh,
there's fear. There's fear to
yep,
push back. The
yep.
the world is like a giant play box, sandbox, whatever you
That's
want to call
right.
it. We're all kids. We're just
That's right.
giant kids. We're
Mm,
all misinformed and
yep.
fighting over whatever. Like, it's a game, and
Yep.
the kids are losing
The
because
kids
we
are
can't get
losing.
our crap together.
Oh my God, it's so sad.
Like,
It makes me
that's
want to
just
cry.
what it is.
No, it's shocking, and I just won't. I won't stand for it. I won't. I will not, and
No,
neither will
and
you.
that's why I'm interjecting myself.
Yes.
You think any parent wants to,
Nope.
I've never spoken out for anything in my life.
Good.
Like,
Well,
I enjoy my bubble of
we all do.
exclusivity. Like,
No,
this
but
is so important that I need to be out of my comfort zone
thank you.
to be a voice
Thank
because
you.
there are so many people who either don't want to, don't know
No.
how,
Yep.
can't, like, whatever the case, like,
Yep.
this needs to be addressed and changed. Like, we have to physically, if it's a law, we need to
Yeah.
find a way to change it. We need to push and protest. We need to do something.
Thank you. Oh God, you're such a breath of fresh air. Seriously. It's like people just need to hear this from an actual mom who was at that school where that insanity,
Yes.
that video go viral.
It went extremely viral.
I
That's
gotta
the only reason they sent an email to the parents.
Oh,
The only
you're
reason.
right. They tried to nip it in the bud before it got completely out of control. Is it still on the internet, that video? Do you know?
Um, I think on certain sites it is,
If you find
and
it, if you can you send me the link to it if you can, because I think I
yeah.
might want to put it in this I think I might want to put it in this interview so people who don't know about it can actually it's so
Hmm.
disturbing. It's
It is.
disturbing. I couldn't even really watch it. I was like, "What?" So what do you think what do you think the next step should be here for us to, as parents and as as a trans person and as somebody who doesn't believe this stuff should be introduced to children at such an early age? What do you think we need to do first?
I think we need to eliminate politics of every kind from the school.
Great.
Like, there needs to be no politic there whatsoever. The boy-girl boundary needs to be re-implemented. It needs to be, we need to be
Great.
re-educating these kids, basically, the
Wow.
factual differences of the
Wow.
sexes. We need to re-educate the school to re-educate the children, basically.
Wow.
Um, and I don't think that the LGBTQ emotional safety prioritizes over the student body safety. I think we need to find a way where we can do both.
But we've always done both. We've never had them in schools other than maybe high school. We have the like GSA, right? The Gay Student
Right.
Union or whatever you call it. And then in colleges, they've all had that there. But
Well,
we've
that's
got,
what I've been saying too. Like, college is your time to explore,
that's right.
right?
That's right, friend.
It's not grade school and middle school and high
Nope.
school. That's there for
That's
education.
right,
Learn
to
the
get to the next
curriculum.
level.
Like,
They got to concentrate on one thing, which is getting into the next step of life. And that's why
right.
biology is important. And that's why getting back to reality important. And the fact that they're telling kids they can be whatever they want is so absurd and a lie, a complete and total lie. You can't be whatever you want when it comes to
No,
identity. Yeah, you could be a painter, newspaper, whatever, or what. You can be that, but you cannot just become something in your sex, or you can't become a Zazem Zer. You see how they're
no.
making it up even more? They're making more because, and that says to me that they want to keep pushing against whatever boundaries they're being handed or something.
Well, with self-identification comes, privilege.
It's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard of self ID. That was the beginning of the downfall of the trans community because that's when
Oh yeah.
all the
I mean,
kids were
because
like,
then
I'm
they get
trans.
access to everything
That's right.
with no question, or if there is a
That's right.
question, you fight.
Well, they're
And
teaching
then
bad behavior. That's bad behavior
yes,
to kids. My kid I teach him all kinds of certain, first off, never lie. Never
right.
ever lie to me because if you lie to me, it's gonna be all hell. I scared the crap out of him. He's
Hmm.
never lied to me. I'm
Good.
like, don't you? No, as far as I know, he's
That's
never.
a great value to instill.
Oh my
That
God!
would
I
be
said,
too encouraging.
it's the best thing ever. I said, dude, I will never get mad at you. I promise you. Even if you steal, I won't get mad at you. We'll talk about it. We'll figure out what's going on here, and then we'll take care of it. Because I know you won't
Mhm.
steal. Because you don't need to steal. You want something, ask me. But that being said, don't you? If you lie to me, now our trust level is broke, dude. And
Right.
I know you trust me with anything, and I know he doesn't lie because he says things to me that I know are probably hard for him to say, but he has said to me things that and I'm like, it's
That's
okay, dude. Don't.
important.
I know.
Communication.
It's amazing. It actually is. So now my point being is you're teaching kids to lie to their parents about their pronouns or that, they're teaching kids, oh, your parents don't understand you. That's what they're saying at school.
It's dangerous and Something that I've really learned through the last couple years is I've had to be persistent with my
Mm,
communication because
right.
me and my kid, we both have
Right.
communication hindrances where, it is
Sure.
not our most comfortable thing. We're both horrible at it. We're bad
Okay.
at communicating, especially with each other.
Yeah.
So, you have to be persistent and you have
That's right.
to do the ugly work.
It's
And
so, as
there's
a
been
parent.
so many rewards through this process for both of
Excellent.
us.
Excellent.
Like it's worth
Excellent.
it.
How is she doing now? Is she still identifying in that space or
Um, Not really. I mean, she said like I'll be either. She, her, or they, them.
there you
So,
go. Good. She's on her way out, just so you
right.
know.
Well, and this last summer has been like the most progress I have ever seen, where
Wow.
she was away from school.
Oh,
She's been
wow.
exploring her femininity, dressing up more, like all of these things that were
See that.
just a no-no before, are now excitements.
She's influenced
And
by her friends
yes, heavily,
heavily,
very
like all
heavily.
kids are. Like all kids are.
Hmm.
Let's just be honest here. We're all influenced by our friends. But that being said, this is a scary influence. It's not
It
so
is.
you just proved to me that I keep saying to people, get them away from their trans friends, and you
Yeah.
watch they'll literally grow out of it. I've helped, like, I don't know, maybe 5 or so parents telling their to get away from the friends, and they would write me, oh my god, she's back to normal wearing dresses and makeup. I'm like, see, I told
Hmm.
you, I knew it.
It's
Frustrating.
just, it is,
It's
and it's
frustrating.
a lot
It's
of changes in a lot of short amount of time. And, I already sense like regression coming and I already
yeah,
see like, here we go again. And, it makes it really
yeah,
hard for me to make the hard choices, obviously. It's
yeah,
going to
of
be
course.
hard, but
Yeah.
what's going to be the most beneficial choice, keeping her in or pulling her out, well, because all of these things are
Oh
going to
no, keep
affect.
her in. Don't put unless it's
Right,
really. I mean, that's just my opinion. Unless it's
right,
really, but I think she needs to go back because I think
right.
she's going to see right that she got trapped in something.
Oh, yeah, we've
how
been
old is she
having that
now?
conversation. 13.
She's a much different person now. Also 13, I
Oh,
think.
definitely.
Right. So
Definitely.
yeah, so I think she's going to start to see if that's why if she goes back, then uh you can see, but if she starts getting connected to those people again, then you can make that other drastic choice, right? To remove
Right.
her from
But I
that.
mean, that's what it's so hard for like the parents because
That's right.
not every parent is looking at all angles and pros
No.
and cons and that's what I do for every situation. I try to like
Yeah.
literally look at it as from as many angles as I can because I
Yeah.
want the most information before I make any decision,
Sure.
And I'm
Sure.
thinking, what are the mental health repercussions from staying or pulling, the
Yeah.
isolation,
Yeah.
the, lack of like the things that are going to be missing from this time of, figuring out another solution. Like
Yeah.
that is what all of these parents are going through because
That's
we're
right.
so confused and we're so unsure.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
are we putting our kids in a safe place? Are
Oh,
they going to be,
wow.
affected, negatively, positively? Like,
Yeah.
what do I have to change for myself to
Yeah.
be, the perfect parent, mothers, fathers?
Oh,
Like, w-
God.
we're confused and we shouldn't have to be. Not for our kids' safety
Not
and
for
it's not
this.
for school. Like,
That's right. Like, I mean, that you think you're going to send your kids to school and like come home and they're going to be, oh, I just learned all this in math. And they come home and say, I'm a trans. Like, what?
right.
I sent you to school to learn, not to come home with some crazy, crazy.
New
Why are you even talking?
ideology.
It's anyway. That being said, friend, I appreciate your voice and you're saying a lot of things that everyone needs to hear and that you have firsthand experience with this insanity going on in your kids' school and you see it all and you're exposing it to us, which is everything that I just, need to put out there to the world. Is there anything you would want to say before we head out?
I
Maybe?
hope that, yeah, I really hope that more parents come out overall, and I really hope in my community too, because,
Yeah. Yeah.
followers are nothing without a leader, and there are no leader without followers. And
Yeah.
right now, we're just aimless followers looking for a leader, someone to, because,
Wow.
I am a simple person. I don't know the ins and outs of things. I don't know
Mm,
how to make a change,
mhm.
but I want to support and help wherever I can
Right
to
on.
someone who does know those things. So
Thank
I
you.
think, my message is just like, how do we get to that next step? If someone can like point me in the right direction, like that's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for, I want school to be a safe, fun, healthy space
Yeah.
for all kids,
That's right. Oh, that's
you
such a
know?
great statement, friend. And that's why I really want to get you connected to other parents. And anyone
Yes.
listening to this, if you know a parent group, you could put it in the comments, or let's start getting parents to get together. And really, it's no hate on LGBT, it's no hate on trans, it's no
No,
hate
I
on any
know.
of that. It's getting back to the reality of what kids should be learning in school, and this
Right.
stuff they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be subjected to another level of worrying about who I am and what I am. So
A
with
hundred
that,
percent.
yeah, totally. And everyone leave Charlie beautiful comments. You stepped up to the plate. You did. And she's
Thank
willing
you.
to talk about this insanity. And she's an amazing human. And I think you're an awesome parent. I can already tell.
Thank
And
you so
yeah, I
much.
can tell. And you
I
care. You actually care. You not only care about your own kids, you care
do.
about other kids. That's why you're sitting
I
here.
do.
Yeah, I know that, because you wouldn't be talking about this. If it was only about your own kids, you would not have come on
No.
on the show here. And that's what I want the world to see. There are lots of parents like you, and we're all struggling to find that space where we can get back to some form of normalcy. And if your kid is
Yes.
gay or your kid is
Oh,
trans, we'll figure that out. We will. There'll be places these you can take your child. But school, look what's happening in school, and this trans girl is beating the crap out of a girl, and everyone's just like, what? No one's even saying anything.
no,
Like,
they're saying it's not a part of the equation. That's what the school is saying.
what? It's only going to escalate from here, especially since you said it
100%.
happened. It's already happened twice on video.
Yes.
So there's two times, friend. You want it to be 3 and 4. Who's the next girl who's going to get her butt kicked? And then whose daughter is going to be that? And you're willing to just be okay with all this? No.
Well, and once the students see, well, this person did it, that makes it more accessible for them.
That's right.
It spreads like a virus, like all fads do. Everything spreads.
Smoking
It's
crack. Why don't you
contagious,
just give kids crack, and then they can go in the
right?
locked little stall and start smoking crack? I mean, it's pretty much that. You guys are just handing them, like, they're gonna try crack anyway. Just give it to them. You know what I mean? It's that
Right.
absurd. It's it's so sick. But oh, thank you, beautiful friend. I appreciate you, and
Yeah.
thanks everybody
Thank
for
you so much for
watching.
having
Oh,
me.
you're so awesome. I feel like very connected to you, and
Good. Me
again,
too.
yeah, right on. So, you guys like, subscribe, comments are so awesome. Please share the video with other parents who might be struggling and need maybe to reach out to Charlie. And I'll put all the information in the bio here. And thanks everybody. I'll see you guys all on Wednesday for the live. Thanks so much.